Yo, Matt.
Hey, Nick.
How's it going?
Hey, Phil. Good to see you guys.
How are you? I
See
heard.
you
Can you see us with your soon-to-be new eyes?
I think so. It's a weird surgery. He actually takes my muscle out from the bottom of my left eye, pulls it out, takes a chunk out of it because he wants to make it a little weaker so it balances. Then he puts it back in, and then it attaches itself. Go figure. It's like, what the shit? God. I just got shit eyes.
That's all right.
Just,
You can't see our faces too well then.
I can't imagine being a doctor or a surgeon being like, yeah, we're just gonna, we're gonna get in there, we're gonna take it out, we're gonna mess it up, and we're gonna put it back in. It'll be great.
I know.
And that's just a normal day.
I mean, these eye doctors could be rocket scientists, I think.
Yeah, I bet.
Matt, let's start the show.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Grain Podcast. I'm Phil Callis here with Nick Horween. Today, we've got a special guest. It's Matt Foster from Maverick Leather. How you doing today, Matt?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
Oh, my God.
Good to see you. Yeah,
Oh.
I know. It's been a while.
Well, I mean, you and I mean, for me, like, when I started the tannery, you were one of the first people that I encountered. Because you would come by and visit every year, really. You can come down and try to buy some of the seconds or any odd lots from the tannery, and that's how we ended up meeting.
Exactly.
So
exactly. How many years? When was that? you don't even remember.
So I believe I started there in 2006, but I was sort of doing more like Chris Kolblinger tanner assistant types of things back then, trying to like modernize his system. So I may have not interfaced with you until like 2008. Something like that. But tell us what you guys do at Maverick.
Well, Maverick, we basically buy leather and resell it. Simple as that. We kind of tune into what our customers are looking for, what types of leather. I mean, one of the biggest things, as you both know, that we do is we buy all of the Horween seconds. And, Horween makes really good leather. So there's a market for the seconds. I mean, it, might have a little loose break. It might have a scar, or it might have been the wrong color. It might have been the wrong thickness. And what happens is the pallets are shipped to us, and a lot of times it could be an overwhelming amount. And then, basically we take them apart piece by piece and try to identify all the time. We're pretty good at it, whether it's an Essex, what color Dublin it is. And that's kind of a crapshoot, because even though we have swatches, they're older swatches, maybe something changed a little bit. The colors go off track. So we try to be, online, where a lot of our business is gone now, although we do have a thriving leather community here in Bend, Oregon. And also I would encourage people to come to Bend, Oregon. If not to see us, come for the beer. Come for the beer in the mountains, Yeah. I mean, you can't throw a rock without hitting a brewery.
We do overwhelm you, or I think it would be overwhelming to me, what we send you sometimes, because we just, for people listening, we'll be sorting a load or a batch of leather, and then there might be, 2, 3, 4 or more out of the whole pile that either, the color's not quite right, or they're not thick enough, kind of like what you were saying, or there's defects in there that make it not suitable for that product, but maybe fine for others. We pull those off to the side, because those are not going to go to the initially or originally designated customer, and then we'll accumulate those 1s and 2s or more, and then once we have a sizable shipment, we dump it on you.
It is.
You have to pretty much, and then you have to go. And you have to go through it and decode everything.
Yeah, and over the years, I mean, we've developed a really good process of doing it. And I still like doing it. I mean, I don't know how many pieces of leather I've thrown in my life, at different tanneries, sorting it out, and doing the same type of thing. And then all 3 of my kids work here now. It was never a plan. And I got Ryan and Stephanie, and we're a nice little group. And we try to represent everything. We kind of view our customers as partners, because if we send them something that we say is good and they look at it and go, "Are you kidding me?" Credibility's gone, And I've always had customers over the years that go, "Hey, I got this, this, and this." Okay, great, send it to me. But it's having that eye every time, and we'll look at it when we sort them out and get them ready to be put on the website, and then again at shipping. And you know what? We're not perfect. We screw up sometimes, and maybe it's like a building a car. It's Friday and everybody wants to go home, and something slips in that shouldn't. And it's way different than what I came into the business. It's so different. I mean, when I came into the business, there were probably 300 tanneries in the country. And
do you have a sense of how many there are now?
I'd say maybe 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 3 veg tanners in the country: Horween, Wicked and Craig, and Herman Oak. And they, they've been around. All their business in the past was really driven towards the Western trade, saddle market. But that's died off, only because people aren't taking their kids in their big rigs and trucks and everything and taking them to events. They can't afford it. And so they've had to change and come up with different leathers and such. I mean, what's really cool about Horween, for the most part, it's steady Eddie as far as the really cool leathers. I mean, Devlin's my favorite. It's
nice.
It's a great piece of leather. And every time I see one, it's just like, oh man, look at this. And I drive Brian Mays that works here. He's worked with us for, I don't know, 9-10 years. And, he might as well be, my son too. And he'll be out doing something. Ryan, come here. And you got to look at this. And no, but it's still fun. I still get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's a special material. And you and I, it sounds like, share that same sort of passion for the material. It's like when you come across a side that has something special to it, it's a magical moment. You don't want to cut it.
No, exactly. And, we've developed that rapport with customers. And, it used to be a lot bigger customers, that, we dealt with. And I was selling a lot of my competitors when it was just basically me and one other person. And then it got to be like, why am I selling them? And then this has just grown to be really web-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we don't have enough people. We want to be able to communicate even more with our customers, because we want to know what exactly they want.
Mm-hmm.
And where they're using it. And, it's really cool with the craft movement that you have all these makers out there now that are, in most cases, hand stitching and creating a product that's an heirloom. It's gonna go to the next generation just because the way it's constructed, and it'll look even better than when it was first made because of the patina and such.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a fun business. It's, like I said, it's totally different than when I started. The first tannery I went in was a tannery in Berkeley called Manasseh Block. And the one thing I remember about the tannery, when you got up on the 3rd floor, I could not have to duck, but if you were 6 foot, you had to duck because all the ceilings were much lower because the people were shorter.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Just in Berkeley?
Yeah. No, I think in California, with some of the immigrants coming in and whatnot, worked at the tannery.
Oh, you're serious? Okay.
Mm-hmm,
interesting.
No, and then there was another tannery in Napa on the river. There was Calnap, and then there was Sawyer of Napa, who probably made at the time the best sheepskin products in the world. And everybody's wearing the Marlboro coats, and there's a lot more people wearing leather jackets. And, I think a lot of that has transitioned more to, boots and small leather goods.
So what is
which people?
You're saying that over the years you've seen domestic tanneries go away. Do you think it's because the style has changed and people aren't wanting leather jackets like you're saying, or is it that they're producing these same materials elsewhere in the world?
It's elsewhere. I mean, it turned into where all these corporations, like Peabody, Massachusetts, was considered the leather capital of the world back in the 30s and 40s. And you had everybody in town worked for some tannery. And it was close knit, all the, different nationalities living next door to each other, hanging out together. There wasn't any, I mean, probably some, but not like we have today where, this one hates that one and, blah, blah, blah. But the big thing was the shoe companies left. The tanneries were really in existence for the shoe companies. They were the biggest consumer of leather. And when they started to go, then these little towns where the tannery was, done. Everybody that worked there, their fathers worked there, their grandfather had worked there, and just like that. And it's too small of an industry for the government to care about. It's not that important.
The big tanneries, they were like, the move was to go follow the business and follow or go capitalize on the less expensive labor from elsewhere in the world. And then the small tanneries like us, we went and just sort of focused more on our specialties and raised prices and got smaller. And then the middle-sized tanneries tried to do one or the other, and they were too big to do the specialized stuff and too small to compete on price, and they got squeezed out. So that's why we're just left with small tanneries in the United States now, because we're all specialists. Basically, we all do such different things.
And it's true. And it's not blowing smoke. Horween positioned itself very well. I think your grandfather, Arnold, and then your dad, have really positioned the company to succeed and kind of seeing the trends and kind of being able to react. There's no other tannery in the U.S. like Horween that makes such unique and beautiful leathers. It's not that the tanneries can't, but it's like what Nick's saying, the midsize, and they don't know how to roll into that and become kind of a boutique tannery.
I see. Nick and I are both obviously too close to Horween Leather Tannery.
What do you mean?
Well, it's hard for us to have like a fair perspective.
Oh yeah, of course.
That you would have, Matt. And please don't, unless you really want to do it, but don't, like you said, you're not going to blow smoke, but what is it about Horween's product that you can identify immediately? What makes it stand out?
Well, first thing is the people. When I started, I remember meeting your grandpa and your dad. I think it was at the Miami Leather Show, and then a relationship just started. It stopped becoming a supplier to became doing business with friends. And John Colleton was a big part of that. He's both your dad and John, I'm very close to. We'll just talk, and when we're talking, we're not talking about leather. Hey, what's going on? And any of that is out the window. And then, there was always that sense of family that going into it. I mean, Chris Kolblinger, I've known him for so many years, and the ladies in the office, and I miss being back there, and hopefully I can be back soon.
Yeah, come down. We got good beer here too.
Also, I know you do. I know.
The tannery,
you have a Lagunitas.
Yeah.
Also, the tannery looks exactly the same. You'll still, it doesn't.
You'll feel at home.
Things change, but that place certainly does not.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm the only person that has been given carte blanche at that tannery. I come in, and then I go anywhere in the tannery I want. I remember John saying, "You're the only person that's ever been able to do this here, and and everybody's okay with it." And it was kind of an honor. Finally, I told your dad. I said, "Look, you got to have like some type of legal document. Just if I trip or something, you're not responsible." Because I wouldn't want that, and not that I would ever do anything anyway. But it's there's a continuity, I think, with the leathers, like I said before, and it's willing to do something different. It's amazing sometimes some of the leathers that we pull out and go, I've never seen that before. And so
the way it's been described to me, Matt, is again, like I don't have a full or even like a close to good enough perspective of other leathers, but it's my understanding a lot of it has to do with the feel. So you mentioned John Colton. He has a good perspective because he goes to all the shows and sees different tanneries, sells leather from other tanneries also. He said the Horween stuff seems to have a lot more body and feel. You can really tell there's a lot tanned into it. So is that your experience too?
Well, sure. I mean, for me, leather has to have three things. It has to look good, has to feel good, and has to smell good. And all of those, all the senses. I mean, it is very tactile. And what we call the hand of the leather when we touch it, and you go, oh my God, this is magnificent, and you bend it, and it becomes something else. And I mean, there's nothing worse. I remember getting leather out of Mexico years ago, and it didn't smell so good. But there used to be a tannery here in Oregon, and they used hemlock in their tannage, and it smelled like poop.
Oh no.
It did. It just did. But the saddle makers loved it because it molded well. Orthopedics, when they were using a lot of leather back then, they loved it because it molded well. And the people that owned the tannery were some of the nicest people in the business. And it's called Muir McDonald, but they've been gone for probably 10 years.
I have a question. So you talked about how many tanneries there used to be operating. So what are there any products that used to be made or were available in the market that you have tried to find replacements for, or things that there are just no replacements for that are so nice that just aren't around anymore?
I would say so, like in Latigo. I mean, the term Latigo gets thrown around a lot. I mean, basically, it's like when they talk about saddle leather skirting, for example, at Herman Oak or Wicken and Craig. Well, the skirt is the part of the saddle on the side. That's called. So the guys would say, "Hey, I need some skirting leather." Well, latigo in Spanish means strap. So it was actually the most important piece on the saddle because it holds the saddle and the rider on. If it breaks, you're probably going to have a broken neck. And so, that was always big. I mean, guys made a living in San Francisco with yellow latigo back in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
And Circa, they're gone now, but they became huge. And they started as street vendors.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, Matt. Nick's dad, Skip, he's always talks about the 70s leather being that yellow latigo as the base color with a brown over the top. He's like, that was the ultimate in the 70s. Everything was this like yellow brown T-core concept.
Oh yeah, all the purses. I think your dad says he still has one of your grandmother's purses that's out of the yellow latigo, or they get the yellow latigo and then the artist would dye it themselves.
So you're saying you can't find that anymore?
Not quite the same. Poach and Peterson was kind of unique, but one of the problems too is the chemicals. There's certain chemicals you can't use anymore. And maybe Chris gets a formula and he goes, I can't use that. I can't use that. I can't use that. And
it happens. Yeah.
Is that the yellow latigo right there?
Yeah.
This is like that, and then they hand antique around the edges,
Yeah. This was actually from Salz Tanning.
Oh yeah.
That used to be in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And his neighbor here in town had the side that he had been carrying around for 30 years probably, and gave it to Ryan. So it's little things like that. I mean, there's something about people that love leather. We're a strange group. Sometimes we're
speak for yourself.
Putting out fires and but it's pretty cool. And I remember when I decided to go in the leather business, my dad's friends would say, "Leather? How do you make a living in leather?" And it's
Just
like,
barely is the answer.
barely. Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah,
dad
yeah,
joke for the day.
Yeah, way to go.
yeah. Touche. But I don't know. There's something that keeps us going with it.
Yeah, it is nice to make something or to have something and sell something that has such a tangible, usable life to it.
Yeah. Well, I've always kind of compared leather making to winemaking. There's a lot of similarities in that. Yeah, you can stretch a little bit, but how each are made and the care. I mean, a tanner is part artist, part chemist, and he has to blend it. He's a baker and put the ingredients right, to create a product. And Chris has been able to continue that tradition. That goes back to, what are we talking, 1905
for Horween, but
yeah,
his family's been
hundreds of years
tanning. I think he's like
in
eighth,
Austria.
8th or 9th generation tanner.
Yeah.
It's like, so he's got, his family has longer legacy in it than we do.
He was probably born in a vat of tree barks or something.
Yeah. yeah. It's a tough, like, and for the reasons that you said, I think that's a challenge that's that a lot of tanneries have, where the for better or for worse, like the rules and the regulations change all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that I'll qualify that. I think oftentimes it's for the best. I think we find out that, like, water-based finishes are better overall for everybody. You might not get exactly the same performance that you got out of the solvent-based stuff, but the switch is worth it for these reasons. But it does make a different product. So some of the products that we used to be able to make, that we've switched away from things because it's the right thing to do.
It is
they're just not those. That's why I asked, because the Salz stuff is a famous example, because no one really seems to be able to reproduce that stuff exactly that way. And we've tried, and we make something that's nice, but it's not the same. So it's interesting.
No, but water in different areas is different. The pH levels and whatnot, and so there's got to be a balance there. I mean, that makes a difference. Somebody, like you said, try to replicate something, and they're missing a lot of the ingredients that made it, like water. The right water and such. And but Salz was a pretty cool tannery too. I mean, I think about all the tanneries I've been in, all the characters of the tanneries that I've known, and I'm throwing myself into there too as a character. But it's been a great living, and going to continue on. And I guess my kids are a little nuts, and they want to keep doing this. It's like, okay,
you got a generational business.
And tell Erin, your daughter, congratulations, by the way. I haven't spoken to her.
Oh, yeah.
It's exciting.
I missed the news, but I guess I won't prod too far.
Oh, no. She had a little boy in June.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, little named Matthew.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's pretty cool. Nick, you have 2 boys, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. How are they doing?
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's good times. But there's in that thing on YouTube, Leather Soul.
I didn't watch it.
Look it up.
You told me to. I'm sorry.
No, but it's just kind of, it shows you what life used to be in this country before corporations chasing profits. It didn't matter about the people. They went where they can make more money, and towns died. That had been there doing the same thing, and and things do change. I mean, when I came into the business, they were just starting to monitor what was going out of a tannery and how that was done. So a lot has been cleaned up. I mean, people will say, "Oh, tanneries are dirty and messy." Well, no, I mean, maybe you got water slopping out of a drum or something, but it doesn't go out into the river. It goes into $1 million treatment plant. And the tanneries all had to do that, and the ones that didn't want to spend the money or couldn't spend the money, they had to close up. So that was another reason why a lot of tanneries, gave up, because they couldn't afford the cost of upgrading their sewer system.
Yeah. We talk about, we haven't talked about it in a while, about impact, manufacturing impact, and how everything, no matter what you do, if you make something, you have an impact. And it's just about minimizing the impact. And then in my brain, it's about if you're going to have the impact to make a product that's going to last as long as possible, because that goes even further to reduce that impact. And that's not me being original. That's me stealing from Patagonia. But I just think it's a good sentiment.
Well, I saw that, I don't know, I didn't read it or anything. Amy Schumer put out a book, kind of trashing, the meat industry and leather and such. And it's like, you know what? You live your lifestyle. Majority of people in this country like to eat meat. And then what do you want to do with the hides? You're going to throw them in the landfill because you don't want to see leather made? At least, it is, every part of a cow is utilized, to making gelatin, to, glue, and then leather. And so it's pretty cool if people will step back from the rhetoric and say, yeah, okay, I don't want to eat meat, but I'm not going to tell you what you should do. And they want to. And it's too bad, because then all of a sudden something gets thrown out in the media, and then all of a sudden us in the leather business look like we're, some type of villain, and that we're killing the animal for its skin or hide. It's like, yeah, no.
There's a comedian who was on the other side of that, who's like, I think he's a vegetarian or vegan. And he's like, I don't like to eat meat. Turns out cows are wrapped in beautiful jackets.
Who is this?
I forget who. I forget. So he's like, I don't want to eat it. I just want what it's wrapped in.
Yeah,
So it's kind of. I mean, I think that's a healthy, maybe a silly perspective, but it's at times it's a very polarizing product, or it can be. I mean, we had PETA put up a billboard
in
by
front
the
of
tannery, a few years ago. This was I guess it was pre-20,
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was looking at that billboard. I'm like, nope. No, that's like, you are wasting your money. Like, no one's even going to see. No one's even going to see that. I don't think anyone that can see that from the expressway that goes past the tannery is like, they have no idea that the tannery is even there. I mean, it's not like we're this like gigantic building that's like some sort of like huge glass structure that's spewing smoke into the air. It's like conspicuous.
The only part of that argument, Matt, that has me thinking is that so it's Tyson, for example, produces the animals, slaughters the animals, sells the meat, and then could look at the hide as sort of like a additional monetary benefit that would reduce the price of the beef in this example. That's the only thing that has me thinking about it. Like, okay, well, I could see how somebody would be upset by that, but you still have the hide. Like, it's going to be there no matter what.
And what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. I think it's a little naive to think that everybody's going to stop eating meat, but I could be wrong.
Completely.
Maybe they'll make the fake stuff pretty good.
Do some lab grown cordovan.
Lab grown cordovan, Matt. Would you be in? Would you sell it?
Oh, there we go. No.
Would you ever? Do you sell cordovan
made out of mushrooms?
I don't think you get shells, do you?
No, we don't get shells. Tannery Row sells the shells, and that's what's kind of cool about the way it's developed. Tannery Row sells, the top grade, and we sell the seconds. We're part of the same coin, just different sides.
Yeah, we are perhaps overly protective of the shell situation, because we control that pretty actively, just because we can't make enough anyway. And we're we have homes now for like everything down to even
Everything.
the cut, like the scraps now. So like as much,
Oh yeah.
very little of that is actually even going to the garbage at all. I mean, it's all like zipper pulls or watch straps. I mean, everything from a bag all the way down to a zipper pull can be.
Yeah, and I don't want to sell shell. It's not our deal. And from that standpoint, it's special. From the tannery and the tannery row. You know what? That's how it should be treated, and not, and it can't be because of all the work that goes into making it.
Yeah, I normally send people your direction to Maverick when they're asking me about where to get leather to start the hobby of hand stitching, handcrafting some stuff. I always send them your direction. But is that the cohort of people that you tend to work with? They're your customer?
I mean, no. We deal with people that are actually doing it for a living. Quite a few bag makers. We do some business with Danner, for example.
Oh, nice. Any smaller brands you want to shout out? People can check out.
Dustin Spencer.
Geez, let me see.
Vermilia Pele.
Hey, Ryan.
Does Dustin Spencer buy from you, Matt?
Yeah, Dustin Spencer.
Vermilia Pele in Wenatchee, Washington.
Yeah. He's used to.
Let's just shout him out anyway.
Yeah, I think we just did.
Yeah. No, he was a good dude.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He's a good guy.
We got Jay Page here in town. What's Lovejoy's name? Alicia Lovejoy. Matt Stokes. We got a lot of people doing really well, making leather patches and sewing them on hats for different groups and stuff, because it looks much better than just a cloth stitched hat.
So that, I mean, you're selling to cool. These are businesses. How are they managing to handle their strategy, getting leather that is perhaps different from month to month, right? How did they work with you on that?
They're making one of a kind.
Okay.
And they present it that way. This going to run this, and then it'll be something else. And I've always thought that was a cool way for somebody in the leather business to do it. I mean, you're not creating the same thing over and over and over. Now, there's a market for that, but that's up in the upper tiers of society, that they want the same Prada bag. They want, Hermes, the same and whatnot. And then most of us, we want something cool. We want a wallet that just is cool. We want a belt that's cool. And, I think we provide that for a lot of people when we send the leather out, and they incorporate any imperfections into the product.
We were talking with Ryan before you hopped on here, and he was talking about comparison to Tandy. So I imagine more people are familiar with Tandy, but how would you say you differ from that business?
I think we're more concerned. Tandy's always been price driven in what they buy, and Horween leather would not fit in their model, I don't think, because I don't think they would present it the same way we do. They also sell hardware.
You guys don't do any hardware or anything?
No,
just leather.
No, we're just leather. We do the hand sewn thread. We do that, and then we have a little bit in here, some stamping tools and that. But I never wanted to do that. I mean, it's that's not our gig, and people can get that stuff online now. So we're just a convenience factor, and we got some lotions and such, but and glue. But nothing. You look at a Tandy catalog, and you got anything and everything. Same with Weaver. But
big.
I think in our deal, in comparison, I mean, we even had booths at shows side by side with Tandy, and the Tandy employees come over. God, you guys are so cool. We don't have anything like you guys have. And it's kind of cool, to be complimented like that. And that's what we try to portray. We want to be in our customers' business, so we understand what they like and don't like. And we want them to bark back at us too. That, hey, this wasn't so good.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's the most important part.
And we'll always make it right. Just what we do.
When did you move from California to Oregon?
About 8 years ago.
What was the thought process behind that, and how is that? Are you glad you're not in California?
Oh yes, very much so. My oldest James, who was in the military, did 2 tours. He was going to helicopter school up here, so he wasn't home for Thanksgiving or Easter. So my wife and I came up and brought his dog, and we came up for New Year's. And I just kind of looked around. I told my wife, I said, I want to move here. I want to move Maverick here. She goes, good luck with my daughter, Erin. She's not going to move. She's born in Petaluma. She has all her friends and everything. And we jumped to Easter of the same year, and we're sitting around the table, just, a family of 5. She walks in, let's do it. I said, do what? She goes, let's move. And next thing you know, we're just wrapping things up. We're sending up flatbeds of shelving, leather, and it was a case of just pull the Band-Aid. And then we had a warehouse by June. We were, starting to set up racks and everything at that time. We moved into our house on August 1st and haven't looked back.
Wow.
It's just like, it's just too cool. It has its problems. I mean, we got a growing homeless problem, but then who doesn't? And there's certain things that are a little different, between the haves and the have-nots. But it's still really a cool place to live. I mean, you go to work and it's a sunny day. You see the mountains, which happen to all be volcanoes, but they're not active. So
currently.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Although they noticed a bulge on what they call, I think it was South Sister, the 3 sisters. You have South, Middle, and Northern. And from the space station, they detected a bulge growing on one side of the. Hang on a sec. Sorry about that. Fancy that. It's from healthcare.
Oh, nice.
Oh no.
No, I'm not going. Geez. But
are you in like a lava flow zone or anything? Like how would that?
No, but there are ones that you go up further up in the mountains and you can see ancient lava flows, and then we have what they call lava caves or tubes that you can crawl down into that are really cool.
Yeah.
It's just cool. I mean, in 5 minutes you're in National Forest.
If I come out there, would you go spelunking with me in the lava tubes?
Sure.
All right,
sure.
let's do it.
If I have good crawling ability at the time, which maybe.
Yeah. I better make it soon.
I will sit outside and make the sandwiches. I'll wait for you guys
like
to.
the Costanza. There's a Seinfeld episode about this. What do you got, Nick?
Oh my God.
Oh, nothing. I just
my buddy Nick's got to go soon.
I'm just being quietly terrified, picturing myself in a lava tube.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you get down and you turn off all the lights, and how dark it is when you get really down there. And then my youngest with his friends, they went further where they're down crawling on their belly and with, lava rocks kind of scraping their back. They're like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Wow.
No,
I'll walk over the big boulders and that type of stuff. But yeah, I'm not getting down to those tight holes.
No. We'll wait outside.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, no, totally. But like I said, and there's numerous customers that we have, and that I'm probably leaving out. But it's a great place. It has a history. Ben has a history of handbag making that goes back to the 60s.
Really,
I did not know that.
Yeah, there was a company called J. Durr, and it was husband and wife, and they started making moccasins. And there was a tannery up here called Frontier Leather, and they were using mostly local hides, a lot of flesh cuts, that type of stuff. But they specialized in deer, elk, and cowhide. And the stuff, I mean, it was like butter. So then they started making bags and showing them in New York. And before you know it, bam, they were a thing here. And it's still well, not young anymore, but she worked for Jan back in the day. But the husband died. And, I tell you how good they were doing. I think he was driving a Lamborghini or something outside of town, and somehow it flipped or whatever, and he died.
Oh,
and then Jan tried to keep it going for a number of years, and she did pretty well for a while, but then it became too much. But so you have a solid basis for leather, and most of the locals don't have any clue at all, because I mean this town was 15,000 people 30 years ago,
right,
35 years ago, and now it's pushing 100,000.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just become a place to be. I mean, technically it's a resort town, because you have Mount Bachelor that a lot of people come to. I mean, in area, it's one of the largest in the country for skiing. So it's crazy, but yeah, no. And then we get people that drop in from, we've had some that have dropped in out from another country to come in because they want to see us. We get people coming from different places in the U.S. because they want to see us. And I think we'll do a campaign, just because I think it'd be worth it for people just to come to Bend, because it's so pretty. You have Crater Lake nearby, you got the mountains, you got the river, so much stuff to do during the summer, and then come pick out your leather.
We should do like a Maverick Fest of a bunch of beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bunch of beer, spelunking, and then just like tables of leather
and tacos.
Ooh, you guys do tacos there? Okay. My question is, now that you said your family is interested in the business, and I understand that when it comes to Horween leather, you kind of get what you get, but are your kids trying to push the leather buying in a certain direction that is new to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're buying for our veg leather. We buy from Wicked and Craig and also Herman Oak, but we're buying leather out of Turkey, a tannery called Sipici, and they use all European hides, and the selection is gorgeous. And so we have the natural veg in 2-3 on up to 10-11 ounce. And it carves well, it oils well, it does, everything. And, it's not as expensive. And actually, I think you get a cleaner side of leather with this. We're working with a tannery in Italy right now, La Britannia. It's kind of funny. They have the French symbol in their Italian tannery in their logo, because they only buy their hides from that section of France, Britannia. And so they do a lot of shoulders, a lot of really cool stuff. And so, we have a few things that we're trying to standardize, throw stuff against the wall. Yeah, maybe that's too expensive for people. We're not in that market as much. People don't look to us to have, $13 a foot leather. But
well, what is your price? But what's your price normally at for most things?
Most things, probably, I would say we probably average around $5-6 a foot.
Yeah, it's nice.
And on up to, depending on what it is, we'll maybe push it to maybe $750 or so. But no, we want to be fair. I mean, we have to make money too, but we want to be fair to our customers so they can make a living.
It's pretty scary. I remember when I was starting off buying a side, $300, $350 for a side. That was and then you want to try a few different colors out. It gets pretty expensive pretty fast. So when you're talking about $100, $120 a side, it's a third of where you'd be paying for somebody like Tannery Row for buying like a normal run piece.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Nick the escape route here.
I got to run. Yeah.
Okay, Nick.
I'm sorry.
Nick does this all the time.
Okay. This is the second time I've ever done this, Phil. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Matt, we'll talk about you.
It was really good to see you.
Same here, Nick.
I'll try to give you a call next week because we can catch up. A little
Okay,
more.
buddy.
All right.
Okay, sounds
Good to see
Nick.
you.
And we'll,
Okay,
in the meantime,
ditto.
Nick, we'll be planning the Maverick Fest.
Maverick.
Maverick Fest.
Can we do a winter one?
I know.
Oh yeah, Nick said we should go skiing. So we should do it in the winter. It'd be like
should do
tacos,
the winter.
skiing, spelunking, and leather.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Honestly,
no.
those are most of my favorite things.
Yeah. There you go. You everything you want to do outside is available here.
I would like to go.
You know?
All right,
Yeah.
you mentioned that leather. You mentioned that Horween's Dublin article is your
Yeah.
favorite. Is that
Yeah.
your favorite just overall, or just from that tannery?
I think overall,
Yeah, it's nice.
it's just there's something about it. You get it in, and then you look at it, and then you bend it, and it's just a really cool piece of leather. I mean, what's really kind of funny, the Derby is just the tubbled version of Dublin, but you actually can take an iron
and make it Dublin
and
again. Yeah.
make it Dublin again, or fix an area that was kind of folded or something, and you can get pretty good. I probably should do some type of video sometime about, hey, look, you can do on a small scale what Tannery does. You can take an iron, or put some different lotion on it, or bring it back to life.
So you're saying with the Dublin, you've taken an actual clothes iron and ironed it down? You don't get any, I haven't tried that, but you don't get any of the edges of the iron, like blade, so to speak?
Not really.
Or any of the holes from the steam holes?
No, not that I've ever detected, but then I don't have good eyesight, so maybe.
Well, tell me how you do it. You heat up the iron and you just literally smooth it out?
But don't do it too hot.
Okay.
Kind of test it. And then, you just take it, and I usually do it sideways with the pointy end pointing to the left, and just go up and down. And I'll go the other way too, depending on it. And it's kind of fun. And I've turned some people on to doing that. And it's just, then you kind of create your own thing if you want.
Well, yeah, the reason that for people that aren't familiar with the Dublin, it's a veg tan base that is tanned with the same tree barks as the famous shell cordovan, but then they finish it with that hard wax layer. So if you hit the melting point of the wax, like you're saying, the iron doesn't have to be super hot, as long as it's above the heating or the melting point of that wax. So I'm not sure what it is, 150, 60 degrees. I don't know.
Probably
as long as it's hotter than that, you just cover it up. And that's, for me, the resilience that you're talking about too. That's where it's at on the Dublin. You can wear that thing in a boot, a bag, whatever, scratch it, but you're not really affecting the grain layer so much as you're affecting the wax on it, right? It's
the wax. Yeah.
All right, I'm with you. Give me your what's your favorite non-Horween article, or give me a favorite that you're into these days?
I really like the stuff out of Italy because it's innovative. It's gorgeous stuff. You should check it out on the website, La Britannia.
Okay.
And they're all double shoulders, and this family does some just crazy good looks, to it.
What's the innovative part about it? I wrote it down and I'll check it out. But
they have one that I forget what the name of it is, but it almost looks like a painting. They kind of mix the oil in with the finish, and it doesn't come off or anything, but then you have the kind of this waviness to it, and they really try to make their leather attach it to something in nature, and also history, in Italy, and it's really cool. I mean, Sapici really does the tannery in Turkey. I mean, they make some great leather, but it's different. Everybody's a little different, and they're more for the people that want to dye their leather, or put designs on it, what have you.
When you were saying that the La Britannia stuff is inspired by nature, it makes me think of almost more like a Japanese sort of like ethos. Do you ever work with any Japanese tanners?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. We just just never got into that groove. And not for any reason not to. It just, you kind of go with what you do. And, I've tried to hook up with a tannery down in Chile, and that kind of went eh. South American leather is kind of hit and miss. I mean, their breeds down there, they got a long way to go and they have people down there that make good leather. They make good leather in Mexico, but again, it's hit and miss.
So you're saying that it has to do with the region for the animals tend to be different? You're mentioning that Turkish tanner uses the European hides.
Yeah, and Europeans baby their animals. They really do.
You're just talking grain clarity is So South American grain clarity is just rough.
And well, you get a lot of bug bites.
Yeah.
Things like that, and brands. The Europeans, there's no brands at all, and really not much in bug bites.
I wonder if thicknesses are different all over the world too.
Well, they can be. I mean, the heaviest are going to come out of the U.S. and Canada, just because they raise some pretty big animals, so they can get that thick leather, up to like for what they use for harness on horse, for like horse reins and such. They want it to be heavy, probably somewhere on one end, maybe 17, 18 ounce.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it that high.
Oh yeah, and then regular saddle leather, they're using it probably on the average, I'd say 12 to 14 ounce.
Wow.
To make saddles, and that's a whole different area too. I mean, the art form of a saddle maker making saddles. There's an old guy here in Sisters, and I just met him. The kids that talked about him, and so I finally met him, Bud, and he has a saddle in the Smithsonian.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I knew one guy that actually made a saddle for it's a famous saddlery, GM Capriola in Nevada, and this guy worked for them, and he made a saddle for Reagan.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So yeah, you kind of find these little niches, and you go, "Whoa, what you did? How cool is that?"
I think it's surprising that you said that there's not a whole lot of people making saddles anymore.
Well, I mean, you kind of look in that area. I mean, ranches, kids don't want them. Kids don't want to live that hard life. And even though it's kind of a life many of us would like to live now, where you're out on your ranch.
Like a romantic notion, not actually doing the job.
Yeah. But, I always said, there's nothing like either, hiring a kid to work for you is nothing like a ranch kid.
Yeah.
Because they know how to work and they don't complain about it. And so it's just different, and it is different now, when you got from so many tanneries. I mean, I used to go to the leather show in Paris. What a huge deal that was, back in the late 80s. And, it was huge. You had machinery. People brought huge machinery into the show. There were tanners from all over the world. It was mind-blowing.
Is that kind of like what the current day Linea Pelle is? It was in Paris before?
No, that's separate, because that's just an Italian thing, Linea Pelle. And they also do a show in New York. I mean, they had the Paris show going, and then I can't remember what happened, why they stopped, and then they moved the show to Miami. And that went for a number of years, and then it died off. It's really getting the people coming, and it's hard, for people to go nowadays to a different location to go look, for leather or tannery. There's a showdown in Leon, Mexico, twice a year, but it's all South American and Mexican tanners. Mm-hmm. And they make good leather. But I was going down to Leon probably 4 times a year at least, maybe 5 for a couple, maybe 2-3 years, and then finally I just gave up.
Seems like Leon is the new hotspot for making stuff in North America.
Well, they are. They have a lot of craft people. They have a lot of shoemakers. They have some big shoe factories down there. They're making seats and steering wheels out of leather for Honda. and many more. And so it's kind of mind blowing to see, you know, and they're all kind of a little bit under the radar because you don't think about it, you know, and no one ever thinks about, oh, where did my leather come from? You know, they get in a car and yeah, I got leather seats,
Right.
but they don't know the story of it, which, I mean, you know, it's not that important, but to me, it's kind of want to know, you know, its history. You know, and there's a history to leather. Have you ever seen the an aerial picture of Horween and then the tannery that was across the river, Gutman?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going into Gutman. I was in Gutman a lot, buying their overruns and such. And then I'd hop over the river. And now you can never tell that a tannery was there. You know,
it's a little, gone. It's a really fascinating thing to think about. But that whole strip, apparently that whole strip of Elston Avenue near Ashland and Elston, where Horween sits, there was a lot of tanneries there.
Oh, yeah. No, making great leather.
Right. Like, it's not like Horween was the only one making nice stuff. Gutman was very big. They were making a lot of stuff for like Justin boots and things like that.
They did a lot of shrunken shoulders was kind of their deal.
That's actually an interesting question. So you were saying La Britannia is doing a lot of shoulders, shrunken shoulders. What are they doing with the bends?
The bends are probably going into sole leather.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, for people that still, I mean, Europe is so much different than us. They'll have a pair of shoes their whole life. And, you know, the sole wears down, they take it in and get a new sole put on it.
I see.
It's just, yeah. And, you know, we're a lot more instant, want something new, you know, throw away the old.
I was asking because I love shrunken shoulders. In fact, it seems to be coming up almost every day now. Just talking to people that like that. Even like a shrunken bison look is really hip for a lot of people. I feel like these things go in cycles, but you have a much better perspective. I was thinking about it. You've been in the business as long as I've been alive. So
that's weird.
Do you ever see cycles with those shrunken looks? Or
sure. You know, oh yeah, you know, some of that kind of comes and go. You know, everybody likes it for a while, and then all of a sudden the consumer kind of goes, "Yeah, I want something different." And so, I mean, everything's cyclical. You know, so many different, and leather's the same way. Colors are the same way. You know, but you know, I think what we have left in this country as far as tanneries, they're family owned. You know, Law as Ryan Law. You have Seidel with Fritz. Then you have Herman Oak is Shep Herman. And so, you know, there's that continuity of family. But then, you know, when it comes to the next generation, somebody comes and offers you a boatload of money for the land.
Yeah.
You know, do you feel that closely tied to the tradition? And, you know, I hate to say that. I think in a lot of cases, no. Because it's like, I don't want to work that hard.
I mean,
a lot of money.
I don't know what the valuation is of the Horween tannery, but it's got to be really high. I mean, it's in the prime spot. And I know that he gets offered all the time to sell. But, you know, Skip loves what they do, so they haven't sold it. And also, speaking of Skip, he seems to think that it's about time that we get that yellow Latigo back with that sort of like antique look.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I bet you braided stuff comes back too, because that was a very 70s vibe. I wonder if we're due for that cycle to come back.
Well, the Western people, I mean, they braid a lot. You have some braiders that's their living. You know, they're making certain horse items, and they will braid rawhide, and then, you know, some different leathers and such. But the artistry of somebody that's a braider, it's mind blowing. You look at it and go, how the heck did you do that? And then you bring this color in. But, you know, I think to be a good braider, you have to have a mathematical brain. You kind of lean towards that.
I mean, it just makes my hands sore just thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you want to see something cool, look up Bozell, BOSAL.
BOSAL.
BOSAL. And what it is a noseband for a horse. Instead of having a bit, and then they'll make the reins braided, and they can just be gorgeous.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of stuff, the history of leather. This leather kind of helped make this country, because, well, back in the day, everybody had horses, everybody had carts. They were either driven by ox or horse, but everything around it was leather. They had all the harnesses, the reins, and everything was used. And then when you had mules, mules were the workhorse. And everybody, there was, I don't know how many back in, 100 years ago, how many mules were in this country. But everybody, used mules for a lot of the hard stuff. So, a lot of the tanneries, not only for shoes and boots, but somebody like Herman Oak, they were just cranking out the saddlery leather and not really concerned with the boot trade or the shoe trade. That was other tanneries that did that. So.
Yeah, automobile. Well, speaking of automobile, when you were talking about Leon and steering wheels for Honda or something.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at a leather that's used on a car interior, I'm actually pretty impressed of how tough that is.
Well, they got a lot of finish on it, because you really look at it, and they're going to throw in a scent that it's this smell or that smell, and but
you said they literally throw in a scent.
Yeah, I think
I didn't know that.
I might be lying on that, but
I have no idea. That sounds plausible.
Oh, I think it is, because the leather itself, once you finish it with a heavy finish, and I don't know what's in that finish, it's not going to have a leather smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. But there's tanneries that do make leather with smell.
It's like the new car,
kind of a gimmick
car
thing.
Smell. Yeah.
Well, new car, but for handbags, somebody wants a raspberry smell, in their line or whatever. It's crazy how many different things can be done to leather, and they're doing something new all the time.
Yeah,
it's that cool. But like I said, when I see the transition, 30 years ago, I didn't know what a website was, or how to do it. And then all of a sudden the kids come in and they understand the technology and the inventory management systems and all of that, and connecting to the website so people can buy instantly and be done with it, not having us send them an invoice for this or that. But for me, they try to tell me, okay, this is how this goes and that goes. I go, I don't need to know that. That's kind of cool and everything, but it's in one ear and out the other.
I feel like you're not longing for the good old days. It's like you're pretty happy with things.
I'm happy. The kids, and I'm still, a vital part here. Doing what I do. I have really, and I'm trying to get that more and more passed on, is the relationships. For them now to take that mantle and run with the relationships that I've had, and hopefully with the next generation and whatnot. So, yeah, they don't always ask me every time they need to do something. I just, and if something that screws up, we'll talk about it. But, for the most part, everybody is what they do around here, and it works.
Yeah. It's this old time industry of the leather stuff. It really does seem like having those solid, like you said, when you get together with Skip, it's never really a chat about work.
No.
It's about something way off, which is part of the beauty of it, right? It's a deeper relationship.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's just what this industry has been for years and years?
Well, I think, and then I don't know what it's going to be the next generation. Skip has has a real close relationship with Art Tarlow at Alden. Well, Art's getting up in years. I don't know whether there's any of his kids or who's interested in the business. I mean, Alan Edmonds is owned by a big corporation now.
Right.
And, it's kind of the way it goes, the brand and whatnot. And, but both those kind of people are still using top-notch leather because that's what their product is. And, in other cases, they, like New Balance, what they put into their shoes, they're trying to, go pretty inexpensive on the leather. Because
they've done some Horween stuff that I know for a fact.
They have
not inexpensive.
No. So they have diversified a lot too, but then a lot of their shoes have the pig on them, the suede pig, which is beautiful, but then the price of the shoe is not going to be as much as a shoe with Horween on it.
Yeah.
Or as cool.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if so you said you're about 40 years in, and I'm about almost 20, right? So I wonder if in 20 more years from now, if I'll look back at this conversation and think about like, oh man, we should have changed something then. But I don't know. Because I worry about like right now we're talking through the internet, which is fantastic, but I think a lot of people these days don't even interface with people ever. Right?
No, it's weird. You ever read Isaac Asimov?
I haven't.
He's a scientific writer, and many of the things that he wrote about where people were isolating themselves and the only communication is when they wanted it and it was through a screen.
Yeah.
And they never had any human contact.
I think we're there.
Kind
we're
of
close.
a weird. Yeah. And, I kind of think of him more of a sociologist in what he wrote and stuff. But, I look at that and it's like, wow. But, that's what's cool about, the leather biz as it is now. You got a lot more people involved making things. And people are out there recognizing, the quality. But, I think back, I mean, it was different. I mean, Hunters Point in San Francisco has a big history. That actually, I want to buy a book on it, but it talks about how it started out. They had tallow factories, then they had a tannery, then they were processing hides there, and then running them up the street wet, to the tannery, slopping all over the ground, and it's kind of a nasty place. Yep. And I even kind of wonder about the people that still live there now in Hunters Point. What's in the ground beneath them?
Yeah.
Because to my knowledge, it was never cleaned out.
Well, I know that
built on it.
I know that they have changed stuff in recent decades. Like it's been a long time. Yeah. They've changed some of the regulations, but who knows what was going on 100 years ago? It's kind of scary.
Well, in Chicago, so many of the cows came there, and they come off the trains, or they come, with the cowboys, and they go straight into a feedlot or something, and then, boom, 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 the meat's gone and the leather's being made.
Right.
And sloppy. When you got, and no one knew, no one cared, and they figured, so what? It's going to go into the ground and it'll dissipate. And guess what? It doesn't.
Right.
There's a lot of ignorance, and that's one thing that's good because you only got one planet. The whole thing. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's screwing things up.
Yeah, but I don't know if the rest of the world is as strict on their tannery the wastewater regulations.
No, they are. The Europeans are very strict. In fact, there's standards that some companies will require a tannery to have. I forget, John would probably know what the regulation is or the standard that you are accepted into. And in Mexico, they started to have to change. Their sewage treatment plants in town were not able to handle all the stuff that was coming out of tanneries. So, I mean, you go to this one area of Leon, and you got people with pickup trucks with hides in them, and and there's just crap all over the place.
Right.
Yeah,
I fear that some non-first world countries or areas of the world would probably not doing a lot of environmental good with their tanneries.
No, and tanneries in the past, yeah, I mean, there's super fun sites that were created for tanneries. Had been there before. You had the movie that what was it? An Inconvenient Truth. I think that was the movie with John Travolta, and it was about it.
Isn't the Inconvenient Truth like the Al Gore movie with like global warming stuff?
Maybe it is. I'll have to think what the movie was. It was a while ago.
Was it like Aaron Brockovich?
Yeah. And the tanneries, I knew some of those tanneries that were involved, and they would just take their solvents or whatever they had and have them in barrels and just throw them someplace. And then they had cancer clusters and people going, "What the hell's going on?"
Yep.
But
it's a hexavalent chrome that they don't use anymore.
Yeah.
So I lived in Santa Cruz for a minute.
Yeah.
And from like I had a couple of different stints there. But do you recall when Salz left? Because I don't remember ever seeing him there.
No, I think they've been
They were gone
gone
in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Late 90s,
kind of a
maybe.
bummer.
Yeah. Oh God, they made beautiful leather, but you had, I don't know, did they have 3 siblings? And Norman was the father, and then he died, and then the sister wanted nothing to do with the tannery. She wanted to sell the land, and that's what ended up happening. I think one of the brothers is still involved in leather, but it's a Chinese tannery or something that he works for.
I went to the site of where Salz was a couple years ago. It's a pretty fancy spot these days.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to see, in the same way that Horween, I'm sure in 1905 when they were starting up over there, it was a very undesirable area.
Oh yeah.
But now it's like so valuable, just the land.
Oh, exactly. And it used to be, when Horween doesn't have it anymore, the Beam House. On a warm summer day, you get out of your car and all of a sudden you're hit, and you remember it's like, whoa.
You get honestly, when you work there every day, you get nose blind to the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Because I still don't really smell cord. I mean, if I'm gone on vacation for a week and come back, I'll be like, oh, that smells nice.
Yeah. But
you get nose blind to it, and in the same way as the tanning, like the burning of the hair, you get blind to that also. So people will come by and be like, what does that smell? You're like, I don't smell anything.
Yeah.
Of course, it's terrible smelling.
Oh yeah, but
it's the way it is. But they don't do as much of that burn anymore.
No, and that was all lime. Gutman, they had their lime pit, and that's where the hides first went. They flesh them and then dehair them, and then they start their journey into the so-called the miracle of leather, or it's pretty cool what it turns out to be. And it's always going to be a byproduct. No one is ever going to kill an animal for its hide, even the alligator people. I mean, they have
right?
farms.
I thought that there were certain exotics that were being raised for the skin, but I can't confirm that.
Yeah, but then also for the meat, like ostrich. But they have farms. People are raising them like they, raise cows. And I know, somebody that is a little bit more to the left, let's say, there's nothing wrong with that. But like kangaroo, I mean, the Australians think it's crazy how people come and say, "Oh, we're torturing kangaroos," and we're having them in an area where there's not enough feed for them. And then you get different viewpoints. Somebody says that's bullshit, and the other person says, "No, we get too many of them, and we go out and call the herds."
Right.
And it's like elephant. People are like freaking out about elephant. We can't sell elephant leather in Oregon, California either. And a lot of it's like, well, they have game preserves. The elephants, they have to call the herds. So the meat goes to the villages, the hides go and become leather. But people in legislatures, they don't know all that. They have somebody saying, this is horrible, we shouldn't be having this leather. It's like, okay.
Yeah, my favorite example of the law of is it a law? Just of unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Was the slaughtering of equine animals in the United States. And when Skip explained to me what was going on, it was like really upsetting. So basically, I don't think it exists anymore, but there was a law where you could not slaughter a horse in the United States. So the ranchers they had an old horse that they were going to sell to market. They couldn't slaughter the animal. They would basically ship it across a border and then not feed it on the way and then slaughter it anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Horrible practice. And you talk to any ranch people, they go, are you kidding me? But everybody is romantic about the horse. They're not it's kind of strange. So they're not as romantic about deer. But the horse, and horse isn't even native.
Them.
Yeah.
We domesticated a horse, and the same with the dog, right?
Yeah. But the reason the horses are here because of the conquistadors coming into South America, and that was the first introduction of the horses we see now. The native people didn't have horses back in the day, but then when they became available, then it became a very good mode of transportation.
Yeah.
But,
Well, Matt, I'm gonna bring us to the last segment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it home here.
Okay.
The last little segment here is we call it favorites, but it's basically like anything off topic. A lot of times, I'll like to bring up TV shows or movies.
Yeah.
If I've seen something good, but it can also be like clothes or literally anything that you're into these days. So, what are you into, Matt?
There's some shows I like watching. I'm a big I like the Marvel movies. People criticize them. Yeah, but I think
criticize it. I don't like it.
I love it. It's a fantasy. It's a comic book, dude. You're nuts.
I know.
You're nuts.
You know what?
It's entertaining.
You're right.
It's just entertaining. When you take it seriously, it's like, okay, this is all whatever. I just found it entertaining. And
I'm a little too highfalutin
that.
to enjoy like a fun, like, you're right. There's something to be said for like, hey, let's just have fun. And it doesn't need to be this deep, whatever.
No, it's mindless entertainment,
Right.
And
so what's a good tell me which one to see. Nick just let me log into his Disney account. So
Disney account. Well, I would just, just start with the, they'll tell you what.
The new Black Panther was good.
Yeah, I thought that was good, but you should watch the first one.
I've seen that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
C-.
I saw the other one. And it's a little campy, some of the stuff. Iron Man was campy, but
the original, the first one, I like that.
But it was cool. It was
cool.
Like that and when, especially my generation, when we grew up with comic books, we didn't, early on, not a lot of access to TV and other means of entertainment. Right. And so, you kind of go on to these guys and it's kind of cool. And then I go really off track. Do you know what Vox Machina is?
No. Voice machine?
No, it's kind of, I guess the creators play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, cool.
And they make it like a campaign. And my son Kevin turned me on to it. It's a great
TV
watch.
Show?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, I believe.
I'm gonna look it up.
Or
Vox?
no, Vox, VOX, and then MACHINA.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's cartoon. It's cartoon. It's silly, and I mean, I crave mindless entertainment sometimes. If I want to,
life's too hard, man.
Yeah, and if I want something, then I'll get a book on tape. If I want something a little bit more serious.
All right, give me a book. I've been doing a lot of Audible recently.
Yeah, What did I do? Well, recently, I got into The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
the
TV
books,
show too.
Yeah, the books are great. I mean, it all came from that. And God, where's the author from? But yeah, it's fantasy. I've always been into a little bit of sword and sorcery type stuff.
Nice.
You
You
know,
and Nick and myself, believe it or not, we're all a bunch of
and
nerds.
sci-fi. But you should check out Isaac Asimov out. You know, he wrote I, Robot, but
Right.
his best work was Foundation Trilogy. And
I'm gonna look it
Foundation
up.
Trilogy is amazing. You know, Lord of the Rings, you know, I don't know how many times I read that. And love the adaptation to the big screen. I thought it was cool.
What about the new-ish Amazon TV show, Lord of the Rings one?
I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
a stone cold F- on that.
You were a hater?
I
See, but
hated it.
yeah, but
I thought
I
it
knew.
was just so camp. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if campy was the right word. It just felt very forced, you know?
Yeah, no, it didn't flow like the other one. But knowing the history of what was going on at that time, it was just kind of nice to see an attempt at it. That and Galadriel, I thought that actress killed it.
Yeah.
I thought she was cool. I
The
thought
elves had like a little strange fashion sense too, or was it like the hairstyle?
Yeah.
If I remember
yeah,
correctly,
no,
it's a little weird.
No, and and Gimli the dwarf, I thought it was pretty cool.
I didn't get that far. I don't think I saw him yet.
Yeah. So,
all right, so I should give it another shot, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you should allow yourself to have mindless entertainment and without judging it.
Yeah, I'm a hater, Matt.
I know you are.
I like I said. Well, I guess I didn't tell this to you. I was talking earlier with Nick. I've been kind of sick recently, so I've been catching up on TV shows, and I just watched The Wire. Basically, I opened up the HBO app, and I'm like, what should I watch?
Yeah.
And have you ever seen the old Scorsese movie Taxi Driver?
God, a long time ago, I guess.
I
don't remember much. Yeah.
I started watching it last night. I haven't finished it, but the takeaway for me is like, man, they sure make things different
now
for film and TV.
Oh yeah.
Just like the pacing is so slow, and like everything's very deliberate.
Yeah.
It's very striking to see something that's 40, 50, even like 20 years ago we're making the first Iron Man compared to like a Marvel thing now. The style is so.
It's I mean, CGI has just gone beyond anybody's expectations, really, and what they're able to do. It's crazy, but it's cool. It's cool.
I guess I'm trying to figure out what my favorite would be, but I suppose it's the way things used to be. But it's interesting because after talking to you today, it doesn't seem like it's all that good. Like some of it's good because we enjoy different things, like the pacing of an older movie. But you're saying, with Maverick 40 years ago, or the leather industry selling the way that you do, it might be a little bit better today.
Yeah, exactly. And I would agree with that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool. You ever seen the Godfather movies?
Hell yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah.
I don't necessarily love 3.
Yeah, no.
But 1 and 2 are like
brilliant.
Oh my God. That book I actually started to do too, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish it.
No?
Have you read the book or listened to the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. It basically is the movie, but a little bit more in depth. I don't know. I like it. I think I lean more towards you on like the fantasy stuff when I go to do book stuff. I like a sci-fi.
Well, and I love historical fiction.
Like what?
Well, Leon Uris wrote Exodus. What else did he write? About the Middle East. And you kind of see really why we're where we are with the Middle East. Casey, I used to read a lot of his, the Jack Ryans, all of those I read. And
would you call that historical fiction?
No, that's just pure fiction.
Pure fiction, yeah.
Yeah, but what was the one? Pillars of the Earth, I think. God, who wrote that? That's a great historical fiction. You know, it starts back in it's Pillars of the Earth, and it's I don't know how many books are in the series, but it starts back in supposedly Neanderthal or whatever, and then how people learned to use stone, and then the building of this cathedral in this town, and then the town grows, and all the changes that happens over the years and centuries. It's pretty
familiar.
Cool. Yeah,
the name sounds familiar.
They did a series on TV, but I can't remember that one. You get so much after so many years, so much in your head, and one sometimes it connects, and sometimes it goes, where did it go?
Yeah. I bet you gave me a lot you got me a lot. I appreciate it very much. Where can people give us some places that you suggest people go to find all Maverick stuff? Just the website is your favorite place to send people, or do you have social media type of stuff?
But we do Instagram.
Yeah.
And then, our website.
Just look up Maverick Leather.
Yeah. And it's Maverick Leather, it's all spelled out. Company is spelled out.
COMPANY.
Yeah. I don't know why it started with that. It's a pain in the butt.
You can buy a new URL.
Yeah.
I'll help you out if you want.
Yeah. You and Ryan can figure that out.
Yeah. Well, hey, Matt, thanks for being here today. Everybody, thanks for checking out the episode. And on behalf of Nick and myself, we'll see you again next time. Don't forget to check out Maverick Leather if you're trying to make something.
Okay, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.